Hello there, lovely people. It's Alex from Nintendo Life.
Scared you a little, didn't I? Well, don't be afraid. Remember me? It's Xeon from Nintendo Life. And today, we're bringing you some of the spookiest, most horrific games we could find on the Nintendo Switch. Now, not all these games are going to jump scare you so bad that you feel the sudden urge to go make a Jill sandwich, but all of them are sure to send a few chills down your spine. Now with that, we'd like you to join us for a night of monsters, thrills, and horror. Let's begin. Little Nightmares follows the story of a young girl named Six, who's trapped and must escape the gripping clutches of a monstrous ship known as the Maw. If you're familiar with Limbo and Inside, the gameplay is very similar. You'll need to make sure you time your jumps carefully and hide whenever necessary, or you'll fall victim to the ghoulish creatures that lurk within the ship. Its character level and sound design are top-notch and make it feel a lot like a Tim Burton film. Even if you think you can withstand a few scares, and let's be honest, you wouldn't be here if you weren't, Little Nightmares is sure to turn your stomach upside down. Outlast 2 takes place in the same universe as the original, but this time puts you in the shoes of Blake Langerman, husband and cameraman to the investigative journalist Lynn Langerman. Armed with only a camera, you're set to unravel the mysterious death of an unknown pregnant woman in the backwoods of Arizona. I don't see any issues. Sounds easy, right? Right? Hello? In all fairness, Outlast 2 is not for the faint of heart, but as long as you conserve your batteries and stick to the shadows, you might have a chance of making it out alive. Observer is a first-person, narrative-driven story set in a futuristic cyberpunk world. You'll play as a government detective tasked with investigating a grisly murder in a sketchy apartment building. You'll snoop around crime scenes for clues, gather intel from tenants of the apartment, and even examine the memories of expired victims through some, well, rather invasive means. You literally rip a cord out of your hand, plug it into someone else's brain, and relive their memories. The game also draws heavy inspiration from the film Blade Runner, so much so that its protagonist's actor, Rutger Hauer, even starred in the movie. Observer chooses to prioritize mystery and storytelling over the constant threat of death, but if dread, unease, and a total lack of predictability sound like your cup of tea, you could be looking forward to a long, sleepless night after playing this one. Now just make sure you remember to unplug. Resident Evil has always been the big dog of survival horror games, so it'd be an absolute shame for it to not feature somewhere on this list. Thankfully, two excellent entries have made their way to Switch in the Revelations collection. Both play a lot like Resident Evil 4 with its over-the-shoulder third-person camera, but each star a different cast of characters and hold unique stories, so they can be played out of order if you so choose. Both are well worth your time, and if you've been dying to play the Resident Evil 2 remake that the Switch missed out on, these just might do the trick. Layers of Fear Legacy is a horrifying walk through the mind of a painter and his descent into madness. While working on his magnum opus, the painter becomes haunted by visions of his past and must suffer through them to survive. The scares are all psychological here, so even a simple pan of the camera can alter the environment considerably, replacing and removing rooms in the mansion at will. Its short length means you can play through it in a night or two, but only if you're not too terrified to take another step forward. Looks like Capcom is bringing a few more Resident Evil games over to the Switch in May, including Resident Evil 0, Resident Evil Remake, and Resident Evil 4. All these originally made their first appearance back in the day on the GameCube, so we're really excited to see them coming back to Nintendo. And if you're watching this video and you've never played Resident Evil 4, what other excuse do you have? Other than maybe its high price tag. Armed once again with nothing but a camera and some incredible hide-and-seek skills, Outlast Bundle of Terror has you take on the role of Miles Upshur, a freelance journalist who's been tipped off about some shady experiments happening at a thought-to-be abandoned asylum located in the mountains of Colorado. Your hopes in catching the story of the year quickly vanish as you're captured by the deranged inmates that live inside and must escape with what little sanity you may have left. Outlast Bundle of Terror also includes the Whistleblower DLC, so once you finish the main story, you'll have a little extra content to keep the chills flowing late into the night. Limbo tells the painful story of a boy on a search to find his missing sister, and it does it entirely without the use of words. By the end of it, your imagination will be running wild trying to piece it all together. Its minimalistic controls allow for almost anyone to pick up the game quickly, provided they have the patience to navigate its puzzles. This may not be the scariest game on the list, but Limbo's blend of tricky puzzles and platforming, mixed with a dark world that simply wants to watch you suffer, is sure to fill anyone with unease. Oh, where are my manners? Did we forget to mention the massive spider that stalks you throughout most of the game? Well, good luck. Now hold on 1 minute. Before we get to the last 3 games, we have a couple honorable mentions that we'd like to share that just didn't quite make the cut.
It's time for sleep.
Detention takes you all the way back to 1960s Taiwan and follows the story of 2 young students who've just woken up in their school to find everyone evacuated due to the threat of an oncoming typhoon. On their way home, they realize that not everything is as it seems, and the storm is the least of their worries. Detention's gameplay is fairly straightforward, reminding us of the point-and-click adventure days of old. Host to a terrifying atmosphere, chilling ghouls, and a soundtrack that will sink its teeth into you, Detention is a classic slice of Eastern horror and definitely deserves a spot on your Switch. Created by the team that gave us Limbo, Inside borrows heavily from its ideas, but expands upon them in almost every way possible. At its core, Inside's gameplay is very similar, with side-scrolling elements, a gorgeous yet moody art style, an atmospheric soundtrack, and a protagonist that is weak to just about everything. Like most of the other games on this list, its story may be a tad on the short end, but it doesn't play around with wasting your time. Without spoiling things, our boy isn't giving up until he finds out exactly what's going on inside, and you won't want to quit until you see the end either. Yep, you read that right. Now just think about it. Dark Souls Remastered may not be best described as a horror game, but it's packing plenty of frights nonetheless. Coupling its daunting difficulty with its horrific monsters and its claustrophobically dark setting, Dark Souls will have you as tense as a night spent in a haunted house. Now it may not be as gothic as its PlayStation nephew Bloodborne, but it's arguably the perfect horror experience, as it mixes fright with action and excitement. Enter Lordran only if you dare. And there you have it, the Nintendo Life list of some of the best horror games on the Switch. What are some horror games you'd like to see come to the Switch? Let us know in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this video, give that like button a good old scare, subscribe to Nintendo Life, and ring that notification bell to be one of the first people to see our new videos when they go up. Thank you all so much for watching. I'm Xeon from Nintendo Life, and if we didn't scare you off too much, we'll see you next time.